Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to another edition of the Democratic View. I'm the hostess. My name is Phyllis Italiano, and today I have with me two very important people who are going to tell us about our future. And that's View-Giodian Raccke, who we have interviewed before, of Renewable Energy Long Island, and Linda James, who is a new guest here, and she's going to talk about being a member of the East Hampton Sustainability Committee. I got it right, huh?
Almost.
What is it?
Energy sustainability.
Oh, energy sustainability, okay. Well, folks, you know how I like to begin. I like to hear a little bit about you just in case there's somebody tuning in who doesn't know anything about you. So let's start with you, View-Giodian. Born and raised and schooling.
I was born and raised in Germany. And actually, I grew up in a little village that was, we had 9,000 Americans and 2,000 Germans there. It was an American Army base in that village. It was quite segregated, but I was exposed from childhood on to the American culture, and I always wonder whether that prompted me to come over here.
Uh-huh. And you probably learned English at an early age.
A little bit, but they made me learn Latin and Greek and things like that in school, so
oh, dear.
I had to escape.
I wouldn't have made it in that school. And where did you go to college?
In Darmstadt, Germany, where I got my civil engineering degree.
Uh-huh.
And as soon as I had that, I took off to travel and ended up here in this beautiful country.
Now, did you end up in East Hampton, or did you?
Actually, in New York City.
Uh-huh.
And it was in the mid-'80s that my wife and I decided to live in the most beautiful place I've known to live in, and that's East Hampton.
You won't get an argument from me on that point. I can assure you I am devoted to the town. And Linda, how about you?
Well, I'm from the Midwest originally, Iowa, where we all are focused right now.
Big word
today. Right now, right. Actually, Des Moines, Iowa. And then after college in Ann Arbor, Michigan, I came to the East Coast, to New York City. Married, had a family, went back to school, became a hospital administrator for many years. Also worked in rebuilding abandoned buildings in New York City for homeless, mentally disabled people. Before I retired from that, my husband and I bought a home here in 1968 and with good foresight, and moved here permanently after he died 8 years ago. So I'm a local now.
Oh, wow. Wow, 1968, weren't you smart?
We were smart and lucky,
yeah,
very
and
lucky.
True, true. Okay, so tell me, you got onto this committee, the town appointed you, and when they decided that they wanted to look at energy for the town. And what were some of the things you worked on, and how did you finally come to some conclusions?
You want to take that?
Well, no, I think you should start. First of all, it's a very good partnership, as you can see. You start, and I'll fill in.
Well, let's start here. The town several years ago realized that we can't just let the utility company, it was LIPA at the time, and later PSEG Long Island, we can't just let the utility companies make all decisions for us. These are very important decisions, and we should have a role and a part in making those decisions. And so we were charged as a committee to develop a comprehensive energy vision, which we did, and that then led to a second resolution that the town adopted, and adopted unanimously, that the town board adopted unanimously, and that was to set a goal for the town of East Hampton, community-wide, meaning the entire community within the town borders, would have a goal to meet 100% of our electricity consumption from renewable energy sources without polluting the air, and that was a very aggressive and very ambitious and courageous goal. So now we are working.
It also was very visionary.
It was absolutely visionary. And There are many communities in other parts of the world that have set themselves that goal, but East Hampton, I think, is the first one in New York State. And it's starting to rub off in some other places across the country. So East Hampton is certainly in a leadership position here.
Wow.
And the committee is hard at work to
Hard
make
at
that
work.
happen.
And we're also not only just on Long Island, at some point in time, we could be in the ocean, what with the rising sea levels, the extreme weather events that have happened, has only made it more apparent that we have to, in our own backyard, address this issue of what contribution can we make to a changing climate. And the answer really is, locally, we have the best opportunities, and that is with our energy transformation that we are proposing and participating in at this point.
I mean, we have the blessing of having a wonderful natural resource here to meet our energy needs, and that's sunshine. We've got a lot of that. And offshore wind. We've got these great ocean breezes coming in.
We sure do.
And so that's perfect, right? We just got to tap into that. We could call ourselves the Saudi Arabia of offshore wind and solar. We've got a great resource there.
Right, that we do.
And we need to tap into that.
Oh, wow. What a wonderful. Now, this committee began almost as soon as Larry and Sylvia and Peter and Kathy and Fred were all together.
Well, it existed before that.
Before that.
Yeah.
Oh, it did.
It was before
Right.
that, yeah. But the current town board, the town board that we have, that got reelected, was fully behind and enabled us to do the work that we're doing now.
Uh-huh.
It was the current town board that adopted the 100% renewable energy resolution unanimously. So, and the town board is fully committed to this, and it couldn't happen, obviously, without the elected officials being fully behind that.
So what are the plans? How are they going to do it?
Well, the first thing we have done is we're working with the Department of Natural Resources, the town's Department of Natural Resources. And we have, over the last year, addressed what's going to happen to this coastal community. We did see what Sandy did to us, and remember, Sandy was just an extreme weather event, was not a hurricane. It was just a high wind. But because of all the mitigating factors of climate change, we understood just how important energy is to the maintenance and well-being of this community. So we addressed this in a climate action plan that the committee submitted to the board, and the board approved a climate action plan, which I think is now on the website, that anyone who can work on or download the town's website, they will see a long history of initiatives that have taken place addressing a changing climate and the impact and how we can respond in our community, and that's how why energy plays such a prominent role.
So I'll give you another example. We just completed energy audits of a number of town facilities. When I say we, this is contractors that do that kind of work. And we've gotten reports on what needs to be fixed in order to save the town money by reducing energy use through more energy efficient lighting, energy efficient building envelope improvements, et cetera, right? So we're working not just to tap into solar power and offshore wind power, but also to eliminate, to the greatest extent possible, wasteful energy consumption, right? We have some old buildings that really need to be retrofitted to bring them up to the technical standards that we have today as far as energy efficiency. and that can save hundreds of thousands of dollars town-wide. So, you know, it's not just good for the planet and good for the environment, it's good for our pocketbook and our tax rolls. It saves money.
It's also good for the workers that do
That's
those
true.
kind of things.
That's
the
true.
economy.
Yeah.
And so, what will be the next step? I know there was some talk about wind power, and where are we standing on that?
There is a proposal before LIPA as the statewide, or the Long Island Authority, who approves these projects, for 19 turbines. I like to call them windmills, our modern day windmills. So
I like that too.
I do. I love it, as a matter of fact. Now that you bring it up, I just love it. And I like to think that we have an opportunity to return windmills to East Hampton. And there's a long history, about 300 and some odd years, of windmills providing energy to the building of this town and village. This is a proposal that is put forth by Deepwater Wind. They have a installation on Block Island, a demonstration project of 5 turbines that is, as we say, in the ground or in the water, and should be operational by 2017. LIPA is going to review this proposal for 19 turbines, which could, 15, I'm sorry, 15, which could light up the town, right? Mm-hmm. Could light up the town if LIPA approves. And I would suggest that anyone that is watching this program, if I can do this,
absolutely,
that they should sit down, jot a note to LIPA and tell them that they too want to bring windmills or the turbines, today's technology, and use that source of energy resource, clean energy resource, back to East Hampton.
And that's with deep water?
Deep water wind. And it's a proposal that I think a decision is going to be made mid-May. The more people, constituents, consumers that LIPA hears from, the hopefully more they will consider the value of this resource to the scenario, the transformational scenario that we are proposing.
And those turbines, or windmills, as we like to call them, are going to be located in the water off
Montauk, 38 miles, 30 miles off of Montauk. We have met with Deepwater Wind, and I have to tell you, I've come from a long line of gardeners and particularly birders who also are concerned about conserving natural resources, of which wind is one of them, as well as our perfect earth and our perfect air, and feel, I think I can at least speak for those that I've had the opportunity to meet with, confident that this would be a very productive and positive opportunity for clean energy here in our community.
And what about the solar installations? Are there any plans now on the horizon?
Oh, sure. I mean, we've seen a tremendous growth in individual solar installations. You're one of them.
Like me, with my $12 bill.
And that trend continues. Good news, just recently, the federal government, I didn't think this was going to happen with the way Congress is divided, if not paralyzed, but the federal government actually just passed a bill that will extend the federal tax credit for solar and other renewable energy systems.
Oh, wonderful.
For 5 years. And
so that's great.
We were all prepared that this would run out by the end of this year, and we'd see this rush to the finish line, and then it would drop off quite a bit.
And by the way, folks, I got a 30% on my federal income tax the year I put it in, so I had some money in an IRA that I switched to a Roth IRA and paid nothing. So there are ways of really having an advantage. And I still have $5,000 credit with New York State, as a matter of fact.
And the new thing that people might not have heard about yet is, there are many people who cannot put solar on their roof. They might be tenants, renters that don't own the home. They might be, or businesses, that don't own the building. You have to be the building owner to have it installed. Or you may have a very old roof, but you can't afford to replace it yet. Or you have shading on your roof or other issues.
That's a big one.
So the majority of people actually, their roofs are not suitable for solar here in East Hampton and generally on Long Island. We have a lot of tree coverage and all that. So there's a new law, a new regulation that allows cooperative or shared solar and other renewable energy systems.
Wonderful.
So the way this would work, if you couldn't put it on your roof, you can get together with 10
Yeah, there's
The
a guy
neighbor.
behind me, and there's a guy on the side, and there's
That's
a guy
right.
over
and
there.
you pool your resources and you build a larger array someplace, and you get credit on your electric meter for the output of your share of panels as if they were on your roof.
Oh,
So that's a really exciting new
that is exciting.
regulation.
Really.
We're trying to get it pushed through with LIPA. They should have that on the books in March, I hope. We're still trying to move that forward, but I'm pretty sure that's going to pass.
Now, are you going to tell us a little bit about some of this new stuff that we have heard about off the grid?
Right. Well, we have a really exciting initiative going on here in East Hampton. The town of East Hampton received a $100,000 grant from New York State to conduct a feasibility study of something called a microgrid. A microgrid is just as the name implies, sort of a small version of the large electric grid, but it's much more than that. It is a new, much more sophisticated smart grid that can operate with local generation. So you could have a solar array, maybe a wind turbine, windmill or two or three. You could have some battery storage. You're essentially building a mini utility grid, and you can keep facilities, critical facilities, so let's say the emergency services center or a healthcare facility or a hospital or what have you, operational when the grid goes down. When the rest of the grid collapses because you have a hurricane blowing in and there's no power, a microgrid, if properly designed and maintained, will be able to operate and isolate itself from the rest of the grid and keep the lights on and keep critical facilities up and running. So here in East Hampton, the hope is that once the feasibility study is completed, which should be the end of February of 2016, we will move forward to phase 2 and phase 3, where eventually we'll be building a community microgrid that will have a number of different nodes throughout the community where we will guarantee power essentially for those critical facilities. And it will also save energy and use renewable energy sources primarily for the entire town. So this is a really exciting concept, because what we're doing really is we're building the energy grid of the future, designing and building it right here in East Hampton, if that moves forward. So I'm excited about that.
You're taking my breath away. I'm so excited about it. Truly I am. I mean, this really is an incredible step forward.
Yeah.
I'm absolutely thrilled about that kind of thing. You know, and this comes from the state?
There was a state grant, and the town was awarded the grant, competitive applications. And I tell you, the proposers, the town issued a request for proposals on that. The town got a number of really qualified proposals, and companies like Hitachi and big name companies, global corporations, are looking at East Hampton as a place where the future is happening. So
is the New York State government beginning to understand something more about energy?
Absolutely.
Great.
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. I wanted to go, you mentioned about the old buildings and about a home energy audit. Now, if you live in a house that's kind of old, like me, can you get that kind of an audit?
Right. We discussed this in detail today with the supervisor, who we all agreed that it is time for us to take advantage of this program that is available for a home audit that costs no money to the homeowner. It's really an educational process in raising your awareness of what can I do to my home to make it more energy efficient and less expensive to manage and run. And these opportunities are available now.
Yeah, so you can just go on the web and type in longislandgreenhomes.org. That's a state program. And you'll get a free energy audit. It's very easy. And once you get the audit results, it will tell you, here's what you can do to save energy in your home. It could be electricity, it could be heating fuel, gas, natural gas, or propane, or oil heating, whatever you have. It'll tell you how much that improvement would cost and how much you will save. And even better, if you don't have the upfront cash to pay for those improvements, in order to save that money, you have to make that investments. The state provides a low-interest loan that you can pay back on your utility bill.
You got to give that website again, because I think there are many people out here. I mean, my home was built in 1967,
Yeah.
and I know that
That's mine too.
it's cold in my house, and I'm very concerned about upping that heat. You know, I don't up my heat until the nighttime because fortunately I get a lot of sun in the house. But, you know, I know that there are places where I can feel the wind blowing in, you know, and...
Yeah, it's also, you're raising a good point, Phyllis, because it's not just that you're saving money on your energy bills, you're making your home much more comfortable.
Right.
Especially in the winter. So, yeah, longislandgreenhomes.org. It's a not-for-profit corporation, so they're not set up to make money. They're set up to help people, and it's a New York State program. Great
Because,
program.
you know, right now our oil is down, so a lot of people don't feel the pressure of oil unless you're like me and you're so concerned about the earth, you know. But I know that ain't going to last forever. We all know that the oil is going to go back up. I mean, come on. So we really do have to find ways to make our homes more insulated and efficient so that we don't, it's not going out there, and there. Or
But
there.
and in addition, that we're not putting carbon dioxide into the atmosphere.
Well, that's the most important.
Right.
Really,
So this is this orientation now of how can we better help the earth become wholesome again, clean air, clean earth, and we each have an opportunity now to participate. I think that's very exciting. Even in our own backyard now, we can make a difference. And this is a beginning in terms of energy, and there are many other options that you have in making a perfect earth, but clean air also is a significant part to our perfect earth and our backyard and our home. I'm so pleased that I have this opportunity to participate, but I'm very pleased to be a member of this community because we can make a difference.
And this is a really exciting time. I mean, I've been at this for over 20 years now, and I've never felt so excited about what's happening as now, because the whole utility industry is essentially being turned upside down. It used to be that the utility companies made all the decisions for you as a consumer. All you had to do was pay your utility bill. You had no say in those decisions. It was basically what they call a vertically integrated monopoly, right? And that's
Definitely
still the case
a monopoly.
now. Definitely a monopoly.
Is an operative word on
That is
Long
changing
Island.
now in New York State. We have a directive from the governor, first of all, to meet half of the electricity generation of all the New York State utilities from renewable energy resources. So that's a big deal. That just came out very recently. The other big deal is that there's a state proceeding now underway to restructure the entire energy industry here in the state. And it's called Reforming the Energy Vision. And under this new initiative, we will see dramatic changes that will essentially throw out the model of the last 100 years and bringing in an entirely new model of how we generate and consume electricity.
God.
So it means that power will be taken away from that utility monopoly and transferred to customers. So you will now be able to own your own power generation, which you already do.
Yes.
I already do, right? So you can have your solar power plant on your roof or in your backyard, but you will also be able to participate in a community solar array. You will be able to buy and sell power. It'll be a completely different scenario. And so keep an eye on that. It's going to be an interesting film to watch.
I am overwhelmed by the thought of this. I really am. I mean, this is no...
Well, we're not keeping secrets. We're
I mean,
available to talk about this.
This is such an enormous step forward for this state.
Right.
I can't believe it.
A lot of things are happening.
I hope that, you know, we are going to be in the forefront and particularly Suffolk County too, because Suffolk County used to be in the forefront on all of these kind of things. Thank you so much. We'll have you back again. You'll keep us posted on all of this stuff because, I mean, I don't know if I can walk out of here. I'm going to think I'm going to float out of this room. It's just wonderful, truly wonderful news.
Well, thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
And what's it called again? This
Reforming the Energy Vision, REV or REV.
Gosh, great.
We're revving it up.
Yes.
We're revving it up. And we're bringing windmills back to East Hampton.
Yes.
I'm not letting go.
Yes.